Good afternoon and welcome to the
Recording in progress.
Thank you. Welcome to the Public Safety Facility Advisory Committee for Thursday, October 16th. May I get a vote of a roll call of the voting members, please? Craig Wilbur, present.
David Martindale, present.
Ryan Flanders, present.
Tom Davis, present.
All voting members are present. Thank you much. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get into housekeeping, I see that there's a lovely crowd here tonight. Thank you for joining us. We don't often have visitors, so welcome tonight. Typically, we don't have a public session or public comment session. If there's anyone interested in talking, that's fine, but it's just not a format that we have had to use so far. So if there are people with questions, if you want to raise your hand and just let me know you will be asking a question, that would be great. No, just here to listen. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome. We do need to approve the last two meeting minutes. We have the September 4th meeting minutes.
So on the September 4th minutes, it has Tony being listed as absent and or excused.
Correct, that is incorrect. He should not be on here.
I don't know where he was.
Well, yeah.
Other than that, I didn't have any comments on it.
Make a motion to approve.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
To approve. Meeting minutes for September 25th. Again, we had the same comment about Tony's name being present as absent. He's not currently a member, I believe. Tony, that's correct. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure, related to the mold report findings, if there was a final draft or a final report that was issued, Chief, that
For what?
for the mold testing. I think it was a draft report.
I
Was
haven't
there
seen
some
anything other than what I
conclusion that was supposed to
submitted.
be followed up on? Nothing you're aware of?
Not that I know of. I don't know.
I'd like to make a comment about the mold, please. I spoke with Myron from Ecogenesis, who conducted the air sampling. I spoke with the chief, who had given us the results of the swab sampling for mold. And I have some history in hazardous materials and mold. Typically, a swab sample is a yes or no answer. You either have mold or you do not have mold. The report that was obtained through the police department when they did the swab samples, they had for aspergillus, they had a heavy mark there. It's very difficult to quantify a swab sample, so that heavy is suspect at best. The air sampling that was conducted, from what I'm told by the hygienist, the LSP, is that mold should not be much of an issue. Whatever is there can be mitigated by a little bit of airflow, and that the hygienist told me that he believed that there was no active mold colonies in that space. That's what I know.
So is there
Chair?
a change or a clarification you would like to state?
Well, it says that lab testing, I would say that swab testing indicated a heavy presence. The air sample did not.
Chair, just to follow up with that from me.
Yes, please.
So I'm not too sure, I haven't seen any results or anything, but obviously we do have some type of a chronic problem with the building. And I'm just gonna go back to July 9th, 2024 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Labor and Workforce Report and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Public Health and Human Service Report dated June 3rd, 2024. Obviously, there's an issue and it hasn't been rectified since then. I don't believe an air study for the whole building from them 2 reports have been done, but there's, I guess, another report that I haven't seen that Mr. Martindale's talking about, but obviously there are some issues there. I
So
think,
I would like to clarify what Mr. Martindale said. So, and he's been advised of this from me directly to him. The test that he's referencing was a test that the Dalton Police Association officers took upon themselves to do, knowing that those results were not, you know, the most reliable. Nobody has claimed that they're reliable. They were literally Home Depot mold tests, which he's been made aware of. They did swabs all over the building. The test results came back as a heavy presence, that's what the test results said, of Aspergillus mold. I took those test results when I received them. I sent them to the town manager, and I requested a company come in and do a test to either put that to bed or get it remediated. So I don't think anyone has relied on those tests as scientifically, you know, that we have to go by what they said. We utilize those as, hey, it looks suspicious to us. We're concerned about it. I have officers that have repeatedly said when they come into the building they have cold-like symptoms. Members of the community who have mold allergies have come into the building stating the same thing to me. So we utilize those test results to request a company come in and do a test. So, so I don't really know why we're leaning on that. We certainly did not lean on that test result, and we can only say what it said, in which Mr. Martindale requested a copy of and was given, but the town had already been presented a copy of that.
I wonder if it's just a matter of adding in, so the conclusion of the swab testing, which was performed by your department.
And it was sent to a lab,
Right.
like an independent lab,
I
and
think
that's how it
maybe
came back.
just
Yeah. It was,
separating those two and saying that the swab sampling was done in-house and the air sampling was done by.
right, and the air
Ecogenesis.
sampling was done as a, you know, as a request, and Terry was good enough to get that done for us.
So if we parse that out, David, and we say the swab testing was done by the Dalton Police Department, but the air sampling and conclusions from that were done by Ecogenesis, is that?
And that test also referenced that Aspergillus mold was present. So, and I don't think anyone has, you know, it just is what it is.
Does that help if we make that
Oh, it's
determination?
present. They found it present,
Right.
So
but
then
in
why,
a very, very small number.
so then why are we hashing out whether it was present or not, whether it was a swab or not? If it's there, it's there. They could reference their report,
Mhm.
and we just move on.
plus the other 2 reports. And just to follow up, co-chair, back to the chief and maybe to Dave, Ryan just gave me a copy of this report, and I'm just looking at it for the first time, thumbing through it, but there's a couple other things that concern me, not that I know too much about this stuff, but CO2 levels look to be pretty high,
Yep.
and,
The CO2 levels were elevated. They were not high. That's what the hygienist told me.
okay, well,
It set the alarm off when they were doing it. Do you agree to that fact, Dave?
Pardon?
It set their alarm off when they were
Excuse me,
measuring it in
Chief.
I
dispatch.
understand that.
chief,
Okay.
excuse
I
me,
understand that.
but from different rooms, from 300 parts per million up to over 1,000 parts per million is significant. That, I can tell you. And then just the other thing is I'm looking in here,
I'm
And there's one
telling
that's
you,
2,500 parts per million.
I'm telling you what the hygienist told me.
That's great. I don't
That's
want
not what the report
Okay.
references.
Gentlemen, I'm going to have to keep the conversation to the meeting minutes at the moment and making those changes. We can talk about mold and talk about the results afterwards, but I want to make sure we correct September 25th first. So what do we want that mold report finding status to include? That the swab testing that showed a heavy presence was performed by the Dalton Police Department?
Sure.
And
Followed up by air sampling by foot dust.
which I think still, for the sake of record, whatever that final report is, that Myron needs to issue, and I think he called it a draft. I don't know why it's a draft, but maybe someone just needs to say it's okay, and then it's not. But a follow-up with Myron, just having it finalized would be a good thing to have.
I can say that I did follow up with him, and with the draft, he asked that if everything was okay, if there's anything we were looking, other information we were looking to get. I said everything was pretty comprehensive for what he tested, and he just never updated the file to say that it wasn't a draft.
So there's nothing that
That
changed?
report basically is the file.
Okay, thank you, Jeff, appreciate it. So back to the meeting minutes at hand, are there any other changes we want to see? There's quite a paragraph about Mr. Nadeau and his comments. I don't have anything that I can say to that, but if it feels like that summarizes what he said, I'm fine with it.
Where's that?
At the very end, so that's right there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or changes that we want to make?
No.
So I vote to accept the minutes with the changes, removing Tony from the excused absence and making the modifications to the mold test indicating that swabs were taken by the Dalton Police Department and sent out to labs. And
It's
that
actually, can you just clarify, it was the police association? It is a difference. It wasn't me that did it, it was the officers that belonged to the police association.
Police Association.
Just-
Got that, Brittany?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Brittany.
No worries.
And I don't have any other changes or comments, so I would move to accept with those changes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
And one abstained. Thank you. Okay. There was a letter sent to the town manager related to an actual letter to the editor that was in the Berkshire Eagle from a resident. And it's on here because it was sent to us as a public record, and it has information in here and opinions that are that of one person. And I'm not sure, other than I understand where they're coming from, and I understand that people are asking possibly for options and what options there might be other than just building. But the letter in itself, I'm just curious if we have anything to discuss as an agenda item, or if it's simply just a record for.
I move to make it just a record and not discuss it.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Lester, for doing that. We appreciate the information. So the report, which, again, I keep coming back to, which is part of the deliverable, or the deliverable for this committee. I've been in the background just assembling the guts, if you will, of it, and I did take a stab at an executive summary, which is part of our package. I only did it because it has to be done, so I'm certainly open to discussion, opinion. If the committee feels they need a little time to digest it and come back later with comments, I appreciate that's
I would like time to review it and comment to it at leisure.
I'll second that.
So all in favor of the executive summary being tabled and reviewed at the next meeting?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Site status, so at this point, this committee hasn't continued with any site work or investigation on site work. We were asked to look at the north side of the First Street property, which is up along the High Street side, and just to look at that as a possible test fit. And Mr. Bishop and Mr. Boyle had asked that, this committee asked Mr. Humes, our architect, to do that. He did, and his conclusion was that that corner site is irregular in size, and with the setbacks and right-of-ways, it is not suitable for building any sort of police department programming that the chief has any interest in looking at this point. It'd just be a very weird and odd shaped site. So that's where we landed from our last meeting, is to see if that would work, and if it would work, we'd get a number, but because it doesn't work, that's where it's ended at this moment. So the only site that would be available on the First Street site, in my opinion, has just been taken off the table, and if the town's will is not to use the remainder of the site, I'm not sure we have any more discussion on that. But that's the latest information that I have.
Tony has.
Yeah, I see.
Chair, I didn't know if you were finished with your statement on my hand. If you were done, okay, then I would like to have a conversation when it gets to sites. Bear with me, it's gonna take me a little bit of time, and Ryan puts a recorder on in case I screw something up, you can straighten me out as always. But it really seems like, and this is my opinion, that we've all worked very, very diligently and very, very hard on this. It seems like a little over a year ago, probably 13 months ago, we kind of developed this little book over here on our own. And it seems to be about pretty much 90% what we hired somebody to do and what they've come back to. It seems like we're not getting any guidance anywhere. It's a very frustrating situation. It's always leaving us back and forth. I believe our end date to come back with a final summary is for the end of the year. And I first thought that was way too long, and I still think we wasted a lot of time, because at the end of the day, from our meetings with the residents, everybody was shocked. They feel like they really need a police department. Okay, we don't know how to get there. Other people in the town are supposed to be, I guess, assisting the direction of it. I think it was probably in the August meeting, I put together a motion. I'm gonna put together another motion, because I just feel like when it comes to December 31st, we're gonna be exactly where we were back in June or May, and we've not gone nowhere. We've got some arbor money that's spent, we got money that's allocated to go to some things. It's my fault, I wasn't at the last meeting, I had previous engagements that I had to do. But I want to make a motion right now, because we're talking about sites, and my motion is going to be this. I want to make a motion that Brian Humes puts a rendering of what his design would be to a one-story building on 2 site locations. One right here, that's a town-owned property behind us, which would be covering this whole lot for the last time. I know we've talked about it several times. And I'd also like to have him do one, and I'm not too sure of the address, but I think it's Main Street. I think it's 197 Main Street. And just put the building there, do a write-up on it, so we can have a number. if we do this, then it can go back to, or go to the select board with our final reports that there's 2 renderings, one on town-owned property, one on not town-owned property, but we could probably start capturing budget numbers. If there's any grants available, and I know we have different things about grants, but there's been conversations about $3-4 million worth of grants. The problem is, until we have a site picked out and actually we could assign a grant to it, we're gonna go nowhere. Every day that we don't do something in a forward motion, it's costing the residents of the town of Dalton more money down the road. So my motion is to take Brian Humes and have him do a rendering of what he suggested on them 2 sites.
Discussion?
You gotta get a
We have
second
to have a
first.
second first.
Second.
Discussion. So, just for the sake of clarification, this board or this committee was put together as an advisory committee, and so I look at that word advisory, and I say, we're here to advise on what to do and what to do next, not necessarily to act. And I know we want to act. I know that the feeling is to move while the iron's hot and to keep momentum, but I'm thinking right now, would the town manager just, I don't know, I don't want to speak, has the town manager been officially hired?
The contract has not been signed, but he's been chosen, and it appears as though the contract will be fully executed on the 27th of October, and he may be starting somewhere between the 10th and 17th of November.
Okay, so if that does happen, my question is, should this committee wait until that person who will be an instrumental person in this process come aboard and stop those activities until he's had some time to become involved and become either an advocate or a voice to this process? Just a thought. I'm not asking for a vote, I'm not asking for a motion, it's just...
Respond to that?
No, hold on, it's just my opinion. It's not, I'm not asking the committee to do anything, I'm just suggesting that that might be something we consider. That's all.
Could I respond to that? Just,
Oh, yeah.
and you can help me clarify if it's possible. I don't think the town manager is gonna have absolutely nothing to do with moving forward on this or not. I think it goes back to the townspeople and the selectmen. So I think using the town manager, we need to go forward whether we have a manager or not, acting, current, whatever, because at least at the end of the day, the end of December, we have something to turn over to the select board and the residents, at least something, and they can choose where to go. Because all we're gonna do is come back here, we're gonna get some more paperwork for somebody for the next 10 months, because we have no direction.
So my feeling on this is, I'm sorry, Don, are you done?
I was just trying to respond to the town manager's thing. I don't think he plays a key position in this. I think it's the residents and our select board that,
So
He might disagree, but again, I don't know what he's thinking, but I have a feeling that he will have suggestions and ideas and opinions, and I just wonder if
well, but I don't think he's gonna have anything different than us and Brian Humes, and he's new to the game, and he can't make a decision about anything unless it comes from our townspeople or the select board. He's just a management, operational person for the town, and he's coming in way behind things. He doesn't have the last 50 years of the town of Dalton's police department history.
just for the record, he is our CEO by definition. So
Understand.
he is our executive officer, so he does have a lot of weight and a lot of involvement in this process. I'm not saying we should stop, I'm just saying, should we pause while he is onboarding and get his opinion, support, just a thought.
No.
Ryan, I think, I don't want to.
So my opinion is we need to start moving on something. From all the meetings that we've gone to, the largest portion of the feedback is relative to how much is this going to cost. None of us can come up with a dollar figure until we get it on a site. So this is a site, it's relatively flat, we'll give you, I'll say, a low level of what this could potentially cost, what the impact would be to taxpayers, what the impact would be to the neighborhood and all these things. Having it at a second site will give you something to bounce that against. So I think regardless of who is in the town manager position, this is the information that is needed in order to start to have further conversations. Otherwise, all we're going to do is spin in circles and we're going to fizzle out.
And just to follow up, Brian, if you don't mind, and I would agree with that, and when the new town manager comes in, he's got a report, he's got a set of plans, and he's got budgetary numbers. But for the whole entire thing, it shows our police department, it shows our community, our county, and our residents that here we go, this is as much information as we can bring to the table for you guys now, and let our residents make the decision. Because we already know where the police union sits, the sergeant's union sits, the police department sit. We already know through the ADA requirements stand, where the building is, with the Department of Public Health. All that is just, we've known it for years. Let's give it to the residents. Here's 2 boxes, figure it out. Do you want to spend $1 or $2? And let them make a choice. And the town manager can assist that to the residents.
If that is the case, and that's what the committee decides to do, I just want to suggest that if we're planning on delivering it in December, we will not have Brian's information nearly in time. So if that's the case, I just want the committee to be aware that we can either wait.
As long as we can move forward with it and give Brian the go-ahead, okay, we can still give our letter. And at least, if it isn't December, then it couldn't, I think you could possibly have it done. If it wasn't December, it could be January.
But what I'm asking is if we deliver a report, I see you, Dave, and the report's due in December, we're not going to have Brian's valuable information of the cost estimate or the site.
Can you delay the report?
No.
That's what I'm asking, if we can.
Yeah.
If the committee decides to, we can delay the report a month and deliver it in January if the select board is willing to accept it.
This was the same motion I put down, this was the same motion I put in a couple months ago. I'm just saying, you know, it's the exact same motion I put in a couple months ago.
Takes
Just to move forward.
us a little while to catch up with you, Tom.
No, I just don't speak well. Thank you.
Dave, sorry.
2 things. The town voted in the town meeting to not use this property for a municipal building, period. So if we ask Brian Hume to do a rendering for a building here, we're going against what the town voted.
So how do we get around it?
So how do you get around it? How do you not piss somebody
Could I
off?
just do a follow-up to Dave's?
Well, hold on.
I
Give me
got
a
2
couple-
items.
Yeah, could I follow up that one?
Well, let him finish.
Oh,
Dave, Don, let him finish first.
Second one, the town selectmen instructed us that we are not to address private property. That's the second part of that. How do you get around that? Going
How do you show a
directly
test fit on
against,
a private property that we're not really
We're not
supposed to show?
supposed to be looking at.
or- I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, that's a direct affront to a directive.
So, if I could respond to them
Certainly.
comments. The only reason why I picked the 2 sites is because, one, they're in ink right now. I think back in July or August, we asked our acting town manager to go out and actively speak to the sites A, B, C, and D. Okay, if we're gonna go down that road,
Oh, you weren't at the last meeting?
no, I wasn't, but that's okay, it's my fault.
But I
I'm
can
moving
shoot that.
forward. No, you don't have to.
You know what the
You
directive
don't,
was?
no, you don't have to, but here's my point. If we're gonna use that excuse as the town,
Not an
town,
excuse.
no, wait,
Not an
please let me
excuse.
finish. Please
It's a
let me finish.
directive from the town vote.
Please let me finish. We use that as the residents didn't want us to put it on the site at all. We still sent it to Brian Hughes to test fit that one. This is all one parcel, so we're doing the same thing twice. My response to Dave's comments is I'm just trying to show a building that's town property owned and a building that, a land that isn't owned by the town, but the value of the building and the rendering of the building They can go anywhere in the world. We have no bias, we can't do nothing, we can't do nothing about it. But if we just put 2 renderings, one on town-owned property, one on not, we could have the price lines. That's all that is, Dave. It's not to do anything with.
So I guess go back to what I'm asking. Do we need Brian's additional information, cost estimate, put on a test property before the report should be submitted?
I don't think we need it. It would have been nice to have it months ago. I think we got what we got for our report to give to them, and the question that's been asked from May, June, July, actually even probably longer than that, is about how much money this costs. And we can never give them an assessment because we have no rendering of no part. So at least from all the meetings that we had, open meetings with the townspeople and everything, everybody's always asked about a cost. Let's put a rendering together is the only way we can get a cost.
That's not the only way.
But again, we weren't asked to necessarily provide a detailed cost estimate.
It wouldn't be detailed because there's no land figure, there's no nothing, but we were asked to put together something that we can present to the community. And I think that's really what's needed. And if we had something and the community had a little bit of interest and there was grants available, okay, I'm gonna put numbers out there. If we're gonna use $12 million to do a build out, if we had, $3-4 million worth of loans or grants, that's 30% of the money. Some of the grants, whether they come through or not, they had long-term, really low rates, but every day that we wait, the cost goes up and it's gonna end up costing the residents of Dalton more money down the road. That's all.
Thanks, Don.
When we first started this, we were told that a facility would cost between $800 and $1,000 a square foot ballpark, and that every year the price would go up 10%, which is what you're continuing to reference. So if you need a ballpark number, how big is your police station gonna be? Do the math. You got a ballpark number. You don't need to spend any more money. You already have a ballpark number.
And I would agree with you, but that ballpark number came from something on the internet, something that came out of my mouth, and we were told not to talk about numbers. We should get a realistic number from the guy that we hired, that we paid to do the job, who's built them. He's given us lists, tours everywhere, and he's the guy who could put the current budget number together because maybe it's cheaper. Maybe it's more, but all I know is sitting here, in Lennox, it hasn't been a year since, and they're completed, and we're still kicking this can down the street. Lennox is done, they're gonna be moving in, and it's twice the size. And we're still sitting here at the senior center, and I don't mean this like arguing, but we're bouncing ideas back and forth off each other, and they seem to be the same ideas over and over again. Well, meanwhile, another community in our county has completed the task, and we're still on paper.
We don't have site control,
If we did,
period.
I just want to say that. First of all, it's been some time since I've been on your side of the table, and on the other side, obviously. But I have a couple of things to say. The mission you were given was to be completed in December of this year. I hope you'll have that completed in December because truly every month that goes by, costs are going up.
You would have had it completed, but you left us. No. Sorry. Gotta throw some humor here.
And if you recall, when we started, we met in this room, July. We went over our mission statement. And one of our first things we did was visit the police station, and we pretty much we did come to the conclusion right off that was inadequate. And everything since then hasn't negated that at all. It's only emphasized that. To throw bad money after good is not going to be in the public interest. Having said that, I'm going to go back to our first site visit at Williamstown. And we walked out of that building in awe. It was a tremendous building. It took them some 10 years to get to that point. What with change of town manager or whatever, their town manager did drive it forward. I keep referencing that building as a .42 acre site, 3 stories, a wonderful facility. I don't think there was anything short. If anything, the chief said, I think they could use maybe a little bit more space. Now, I was here just at the end of August before I was absent for September, and I brought the point up that this parcel is town-owned, and that piece there will not cost us 1 penny to purchase. And I understand the residents there, and I respect their vote, that I don't want to divide this town. I don't want to open that can of worms. But I do know we have this site here. And I know I spoke with the chief earlier, and you did follow through and ask Brian Humes to site it there. I don't quite understand, when I saw the picture, he cited it there. I don't know that.
That's really wasn't his, he took license and did that because he could not fit it on the north site at all. So his suggestion was put it here.
I guess I'd want to, and I don't want to muddy your waters any further, but this site is over an acre. The concern with either site is going to be Walker Brook, but we have a commission now that we've devoted some 70 some odd thousand, maybe more than that, to look at our sewer system. And that stormwater, excuse me, and that'll be a priority, I would think. I still don't understand, having gone to Williamstown at a .42 acre site, and they built right up to the property line, which we own that, we can change the zoning accordingly, why that is not a viable site.
Because Tony, if you remember, this committee, and you were on at this time, voted for Brian Hume's feasibility program, which showed a single level, 13,500 square foot, 55 parking spaces, 1,800 square foot of storage, and all of the travel and requirements for that. So that is a footprint that he has been told to maintain.
Right.
But we've substantially lowered that. So did he do it with that original number, or what we substantially lowered?
No, he went to the program when he
So
went down
it's not
1,000.
13,500.
It's 12,500 square feet.
It's a big difference.
But what I'm
Well,
saying
no,
is,
2,000 square feet.
but if you go to Williamstown was, I think, just under 12,000 square feet, a 3-story basement building. It was an old colonial. They kept the colonial facade. You wouldn't even know it was a police station with the blue light in front and, you know, the cars there. I still think that site is the most viable site for our community. That's me. It won't cost us a penny. I don't know if the neighbors will accept it in terms of taking half the loaf, that is off the table. But that one, to me, is the most viable site.
So Tony, that site is not an acre and a half. When you take the right of way into consideration and the bylaws that have setbacks.
But we can change those, Craig.
Well,
The zoning,
well,
we own it. Our zoning commission would approve it.
It has to be done by law, it has to be done with
It has-
some,
there's
yeah,
protocol.
there's no
Chapter 40
guarantee that any bylaws are gonna change,
No,
so.
Chapter 40 allows us to go through a
Every
process
time.
via the town, via the select board, to change that and change the setbacks, as Williamstown did.
Until they do, we
Yeah.
have to follow the right bylaws, and Brian is following those. So the right of way exists. The setbacks are our own bylaws that we've adopted, we've approved. So until someone changes those, Brian is going to look at that site through the eyes of zoning.
I understand that, but
Tony,
you know,
Two questions for
Yeah.
you. Sorry, but just so I don't lose my thought, my track. This, as I, or maybe we all understand it, is one parcel right now.
that's correct.
It's owned. Here's my hangup, and I don't know why. If they said no to the one parcel, we have a senior center built in the middle of it, no is no. I just don't understand. If we already gave Brian Humes rendering money there, my fault, I missed the last meeting, I would have screamed at the hills and said, just have them do it over there. Because it doesn't matter. The residents said no, no means no there, no means no here, and no means no over there.
I don't know that, Don. I don't-
Let's just try to get a rendering so we can move forward.
I guess, Don, I don't know that if you recall town meeting, I spoke up and said, give us more time.
Right.
And really, in my mind, I was asking more time because that is one parcel to build on, and I looked at that as a parcel to build on. And so, the town has, through protocol, the right to go to the zoning commission with public meetings with the vote accordingly, a town meeting or otherwise, to say, and I know Brian is stipulated, he's working with what we have now, but this committee can certainly recommend to the select board that you put it on us to go forward with this. And I will also say, and I'll end it here, I know the chair and the vice chair of the select board said not to take prices from out there. Personally, I don't have a problem asking for the prices because I think that's information the public should know. Do we want to spend money on that site, which would take away monies to build on this site or another site? And I'll leave it,
And I
really,
think those are questions for the next leg of this. So we're here to bring a report that says, these are what we've discovered, these are our options, and these are our recommendations, take them for what you will.
And these are our limitations.
And it's up to the select board to decide what they do with that, and I'm really getting confused, we're debating amongst ourselves back to like the basics of this whole program.
That's what we've been doing for 10 months. It's just like,
And I just feel like we need to come to a conclusion and a report that says either we agree or we disagree, and we can't come to a conclusion.
could we close our, did we have more?
One second. So if we are okay with building it over there, does somebody want to make a amendment to the motion that's on the table to say instead of it being on that side, make it on
We
that side?
can't, it didn't fit. That
Yeah,
was,
they already
Fit.
did,
Well, you know, to
Brian-
Tony's
Brian
point,
Hume said it doesn't work over there.
well, to Tony's point, you know, build it up.
We built it on less than a half acre in Williamstown.
And here's-
Hello,
can I
it's
please
a lot
say
more than a
something?
half acre over here.
Guys, chicken before the egg. You can't get to there until you have a plan, some public will, and a site that we can actually hold and say, we have some level of comfort that someone will accept us.
You know,
Otherwise, it's just.
if I could just, I'll make it
Well, hold
real
on.
quick. I really feel like this has to be said. The select board members, the chair and the vice chair, who I've counseled with quite a bit, have made it clear they do not want it on anything but a piece of public-owned property.
then wouldn't it
And
be
so-
great if
and-
those
and
two
so
members
really,
said
we're
that
running out of
publicly and
options,
stopped letting
'cause we
us
don't
take the
have
heat
much
for that?
Public open.
Wouldn't that be great?
property.
Wouldn't that be great? Because the problem is, they say this in closed door meetings, and they don't say it in public meetings, and this committee is the one taking the heat for it. It is not us,
I
it
mean,
is not
John
this
came,
committee.
John Boyle came and said that.
Not
Well,
here, he didn't.
I thought.
Just hypothetically speaking, back to the motion, because we got a motion on the table, it's been seconded, we're in discussion. With all this stuff being said, that the select board wants it on our own property, all I'm asking.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm
I didn't say you,
I'm not
I-
speaking
I'm-
for the
I'm-
select board,
I'm-
I'm
I'm
speaking
re-
for me.
No, I'm speaking from what Terry just said.
Yeah, and
Okay,
Terry's correct in this
so-
statement.
My motion stated, let's just draw it here, and let's use one of these other addresses. There's 2 renderings, that was the motion. It's not gonna hurt us, it's only gonna cost us a little bit of money that he already has sitting there. I just can't see why we can't move this thing forward. That would be the next step, because we can at least talk intelligently with a set of numbers, less land, to the residents and to the select board. But the longer we kick this down the street, the longer it's gonna take to get it.
I'm not gonna direct you to do anything. You're an advisory committee.
Right.
You're autonomous in that respect. You're gonna make a recommendation. Whatever recommendation you make, I'll respect. We should all respect. However, I'm just gonna say, I look at that site as a very viable site, aside from the parameters that we have at this point that we can change in the future.
Thank you.
So Chair,
So, hold on for a second, I know the chief
So,
has been trying
a
to.
couple of points though. So what we did have spec'd on that site was a 2-story building. I don't know how much of a difference a 3-story building would make for space availability there. Secondly, while I very much respect our residents, some of their fears, like we would run their children over with police cars, are a little bit not like real fears. And I think that was kind of concerning to me that they would think that. This senior center took multiple town votes to pass. So I think what we should be looking at is the greater good to our community. And while we may have had 12 people, 14 people vote that, hey, we don't want you here, That is not what the bulk of our community is saying. That is not what they're saying. They would rather save $1, $2, $3 million on a police building and put it on town-owned property than have a few people that are not happy with it being there. And again, I would love to sit with those people and again, listen to what their concerns are. And while I take all of everyone's input seriously, I just think that it would be probably, the difficulty is, right, we have, our hands are a little tied because we have select board members who I haven't seen at a meeting yet tell us that we only will let you do this on town-owned property. Meanwhile, our residents voted against that. So what do we actually do, right? They're saying they're giving this directive and told Terry not to take those steps that we asked.
I can't go to any of the private land as well.
Correct. So I'm not really sure, and until the select board honestly stands up and makes a public statement saying, and they have not voted on it to my knowledge, it is 2 members of the select board, there are 5.
Can I just put a caveat to that? They were told they don't want to do it, but they did it. They drew it on the property.
No.
They did.
No, you're missing it. They want it here.
I understand.
They want it
The
here.
residents said no, they want it here, they drew it here. It makes no
Right.
difference if it's
Again.
drawn there or here.
Well, I totally agree with you on that. I also think the town needs to look at the best interest of the community as a whole, not a small special interest group. And again, if they had valid issues or concerns, like we've run people over, because that was actually stated at a public meeting, I believe, that we were all here for. I think that's not reality, right? That's not reality. So I think it wouldn't, again, we need guidance from the select board as a whole. We really do. And I guess that's my point. Would a 3-story building make a difference in that site? Would it make a difference? If we're doing,
See, from the standpoint of writing a report that is as open as possible, we are becoming more and more closed and with options.
Right.
So where we're heading here is a report that says, we have no choice but to build a new building, and it's gonna have to go here, and because of that, it's gonna cost this much money, and we're gonna need to go through zoning and through
right,
a hearing of some sort through zoning in order for that to happen.
there's a lot of hurdles.
So it just feels like we just need to kind of wrap this up and say to the committee, you have 6 or 7 options here. You have an option, build a new station, build it here. Build a new station, put it on a private property. Renovate something you have, buy an existing building and renovate it. There could be any amount of options because we have no definitive path. We have no site control that we've been given. We have really no financial, what would I say, legs at this point in time.
Can't look financial, nothing. No decision making.
And I do have to mention, we talked about grants, so the
No,
grant,
hold on.
the one
No,
grant,
no, but
the one
I wanna
grant that we
call the
applied
motion.
for.
The motion's on the table, it's been seconded.
What is the motion?
Good night, everybody.
No, seriously, we've been talking for half an hour.
I understand,
forget
that's
what
why I
the
want to call
motion
this
is.
motion. Hey, Brian, you call?
So you want,
Do you want
Brian,
me to
you to
read
spend
it?
money to do a
Yes.
test fit and a cost estimate on the
On
First
two-
Street side of this property.
On this parcel and a Main Street parcel. That was the motion, it was
Okay.
seconded, we've been through discussion, more than we probably should or whatever. I'd like to call for the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
You guys are amazing.
We're gonna have a problem getting through this report and having come up with a
Yeah.
consensus, if we're looking for a consensus.
Well, guess what? I made that motion 2 or 3 months ago. We got a little bit further this time. I'll try it again in February of 2028 again, see if I can get another vote. But thank you for everybody's input.
Thank you, Don.
So where were we?
I think we were looking for adjournment.
Yeah,
Where are we
Excuse
on
me.
this agenda exactly?
Yeah, hold on,
I'm lost.
We were on 7.
We're on 8, I thought we were going to 8, because we were trying to go to the grant thing.
So we took down this vote because we didn't want to go against the town's wishes to talk about a public site and also build on the site. Is that my understanding, Dave?
Yes.
And
But this,
Craig, hang on. So Craig, was that also the reason why you
You know,
decided not to?
For me, if we're delivering a report in December, and knowing that Brian, and I've talked to Brian, won't be able to produce this until probably after the first of the year, what's the purpose of that secondary report by Brian if we've delivered a report? That's my only question. It's timing. I'd like to include it in the report, so that's why I suggested
So
to
then-
extend it.
So to respond to that, I know whatever we submit to the town is gonna be draft. We'll have a chance to look at it, ask for comments, we'll have a chance to clarify. That's not gonna be a 2-day turnaround timeframe.
Oh, I thought we
So-
were doing a delivery, and I didn't know there was a second or a rebuttal portion of the select
Okay.
board. I don't know. If there is, I'd love to.
if the select board had questions on our reports, I'm sure with that, we're gonna deliver the report by December 31st.
Okay.
They get the report, and I'm sure they're gonna wanna look it over, talk about themselves, and maybe come back to us and have questions. It might push it to, by the time that it's actually approved, it might be end of January, February. By that time, we might have something. And I think you guys totally mistaken the motion. It wasn't to build it on this site, but it was just to take this site and that site to actually have some projected numbers. Not that it was gonna ever live here, because it still has a hurdle to go through. But we should be thinking of our residents and give them something. Give them a picture and give them a number. And we can adjust it however we want to afterwards. But we're moving nowhere. We're back up the street again.
Okay, so I want to go back to the agenda and try to get back on track. So we've done 6, 7, 9, and 10 so far. Is that, everyone in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Mass Rural Development Grant update. So unfortunately, the grant that we applied for Mass Rural Development for pre-development services was not awarded to us. It was very competitive. It's highly competitive process, and for that reason, we were 1 in 500 or 600 applicants. Pretty high stakes. But to talk about the grants, because of the current state of the government, Lisa, our grant writer or grant consultant, has made it very clear that there are no potential grants currently on the table that have any validity, and they will change, obviously, with the climate, but for now, not even the USDA grants are being pushed through as low-interest loans. It's that weird place right now. So after the first of the year, that will probably change again, and we'll have to have her give us an update, but her...
Did we ever get a letter from her stating that the grants that we could apply for, that didn't need an address, and she was supposed to share that with Terry and this committee?
What address?
I believe that might have been back in August or June.
No, I mean, when you said no address, with no address.
Without an actual
Without
site.
an actual site.
Oh,
She was supposed
what
to put
grants would be
together-
able to be
She was
available?
supposed to put together a list and send it to our committee and copy the town manager and the chief on that. And I didn't see that.
I was not at that meeting. I
No,
believe that
no.
when that was decided, so
Right.
Lisa had some work she was supposed to do for us. She asked
I
if
just
she...
wondered if we ever got anything fall through from her.
I think she was asked to stop. So.
Yeah, well, she was asked to stop. Yeah.
She was asked to stop before.
Well, when she said to me, we have no money, we have no grant sources, what is she looking to find out what grants are available that have no site control?
Well, I believe when I asked her to do that and forward that to the town manager and our board, she was on the TV with us on the Zoom, and she said it was the agricultural grant, it was this one, it was that one, it was like 3 or 4 and we asked to put the timelines, the available money, and to find out if any of them had to be located or addressed to an address on a property to move forward with the grants.
So she has provided a table with a number of federal, state, and local grants, their criteria, the application dates, and in the corner is some remarks. Now, they all...
I just didn't know if the town manager got it and
Well, town manager would get it as part of the
No,
report, but no.
we asked,
No.
this board asked her to give it
Okay.
to them. And it just didn't get done.
I mean, but what I'm getting at is, right now, funding is very challenging and uncertain, and as far as talking about funding, I think we're all in a question mark. We don't know where the money's gonna come from. And to be honest, if we get a cost estimate and we start talking about whatever that dollar value is, and we don't have any gap funding to start talking about, it's gonna be a hard thing to sell. We have, I mean, for us to be able to come to a realization that we want to move forward with a property, if we don't have any identification of any type of funding to even start that process, where are we as far as?
Where do we go without a rendering to even see if the townspeople want to do anything?
Well, the rendering is going to be based on a lot of different things, and I'm afraid that once you put rendering out there, people lock into that, so.
Well, it's
Yeah,
okay,
it's
but
not
great.
right now, you know what? It's better than locking into that one. You know what I mean? Because that one's still the same thing as it was 2 years ago when we started this. At least they have something on there.
Okay.
At least they have something. I mean, listen, you guys are out there, voice some opinions, help us, because we're kind of doing all that.
I'm with you as far as getting rendering, getting something more than, getting a rendering, getting a black and white something, and have people say, ugh, people say yes, and if they latch on and say it's gonna be that way, no, we're gonna make a change. But I think to leave it blank and keep kicking the can another frickin' 40 years, and that building will collapse, and Deanna will be retired, and it'll be some offspring of ours sitting here doing the same crap
Please
again.
identify yourself.
Nothing's getting done. You're talking nice.
Sir.
Great, wonderful.
Sir, please identify yourself.
My apologies. My name is Paul Tebow, and I live at 488 East Wisconsin.
Thank you.
I apologize. But I've only been coming to these meetings for a short period of time, and I understand the frustration you guys have on that side of the table, believe me. But I think you gotta do something. Throw something out there so people can see, because like you said, Don, a blank piece of paper means nothing. And nobody's gonna grasp onto it, and I agree. No offense to the people that live around this piece of property, but there are only 20 people in the town at
They
all.
have a bad idea too.
And it's preconceived
They think
notions.
police cars are screaming out of police stations, and it's just not accurate, it's not true.
You're our neighbor, you could say.
Oh, you don't even know that the police are there. The
Yeah,
only
but
time you
neighbors,
ever
they're
hear
very
the
good
police is when they check their siren and it's just a blip. And you get used to it, just like if you live next to an expressway, you get used to
We're
it.
not testing it,
It's
we're
like
just
the
making sure you're
train
awake.
coming
We're
through
We're just making
town.
sure
Well,
you're
no,
awake.
sirens are pretty respectful. When you guys come through town, there's silent periods where there's no siren for periods, so I think it's
Usually sirens tend to be ambulances, I've found, or the
Oh.
fire truck.
all those ambulances.
Those hose draggers,
It's
they
rarely
love
the-
those sirens.
It's usually
Yes.
not the
Yeah,
police.
I'm joking.
there's
Sort of.
really no
A
issue
little.
from me about the police being my neighbors.
So I'm gonna ask the committee
By
to
the
look
way,
long and
thank you
hard
very
at
much
this
for your
executive
input. I
summary.
appreciate
This is
that.
really the
We
labor
kinda need
of all
everybody
of
doing
this,
that,
and if it doesn't
screaming at
read
us, and maybe it'll
how we
register.
want it to as a committee.
Tough to get through the hair, you know?
Along.
I will absolutely feature that comment.
So Don was saying, please, the executive summary, look it over, make comments, try to come to a consensus as the four of us, that we can come to some report and some conclusion that we all can agree with, is the best we're gonna be able to do over the next 2 months. If we can get Brian to
So,
put something
I
together
would-
that he can do before December, I would consider a revote, but he would have to promise to get us that
But
information.
you know what? Here's my problem, and this is the thing. We can try to do this all day long, maybe we'll all agree on it, right? But at the end of the day, we just heard from the residents. If we call Brian up and just put a little pressure on him, we can't even call him to put the pressure on until after we approve it to move forward. We can't just, hey, we're thinking about this, what do you think? If we called him up and said, hey, guess what, Brian, I have 2 lots, boom, 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 draw this thing tomorrow, thank you, oh, you gotta work a little overtime, and I'll deliver it to your house.
That sounds nice and all, but when we're one client
I
and
understand
we
that.
have postponed Brian for a period of time, the original schedule for
We
Brian's
proposed,
delivery
I know, we did it,
was.
we did it.
So Brian,
We did it.
so I'm just saying that Brian I've talked to Brian directly on the High Street property on this side. When talking with him, it took him 4 weeks to put that together and said that his timing at the end of the year, because of certain bids and certain projects, he's limited. So I've heard from him already, the answer is,
No, I know,
no, we're not gonna get something by the end of the
I
year.
know, but after I wasn't here for the meeting, we put that one together and we got something. The month before that, when I put this same motion out, and it got shot down, it didn't even get a second. If it got approved, we would have had them renderings today, is all I'm saying.
Oh, you keep a scorecard, I didn't know that, okay.
No.
I taught it well.
No, wait, the motion got turned down. I made the motion, it never got seconded. All I'm saying is to try to keep moving forward. Whether we go back to the select board with it or without it, but the money's sitting there, and if he gets stacked up with more jobs, and we keep telling him, slow down, we have nothing for you. ARPA fund was December, he was contracted. It's gonna be a year. He's still sitting on a lot of money. Let's spend the money, because if his prices change, at least we've done what I believe we've all worked very, very hard, all of us. I believe whatever residents came out, took their time, and I believe we owe it to them to deliver at least as much as we can deliver. That's all I'll say about it, I'm sorry.
Well, that's
So
okay,
keep
Don, thank
bringing it
you.
up.
Community outreach efforts. Oh, sorry, Ryan.
I'm sorry. So hearing the response from the folks that are here, I also recognize Deanna wants to see something done. I want to see something done. I'd like to take a modification to Don's original motion here, if I may. So
I
what
think you gotta start a new motion.
I do.
Yep.
So I'd like,
No, you have to.
I got you, bud. So I want to make a new motion. The motion is to have Mr. Humes put the property, or put the new police station on the property over there. It seems, although there are issues with setbacks,
I think that's a mistake. He's very clearly stated it is not a site that will work for Deanna's program. It's in an email
Why does the
format.
Williamstown site work?
It's a different program. They accepted a different program.
Plus the college gave them extra property.
Yeah, you just can't know why they do what they do,
so,
right?
so was it strictly because of the setbacks and the right of way? Or was there something else that he said that it would not work?
Irregular size site,
A regular size site?
drainage intersections from Walker Brook that enter from Culver in or around that area that is questionable, and the size of the site will not support the parking and zoning requirements for the building in its size.
Are we not able to use some of this property back here for parking?
And that's a question for the town.
Just-
Town
And there's
property.
parking right out here that's underutilized.
If you don't mind, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to do your motion, there was just two things. I believe, Craig and Dave, I believe we were talking roughly back when we had the select board meeting at Wacona High School, that Brian Hughes was talking about where we can, and it probably wasn't this facility, but it was one that he did, where he was able to commonly use the parking lot for both sides because it was addressing. And I think we went through that at Wacona High School. So
And
the
he
thing is
And he has suggested that that would be a possibility to help with the parking, but he also needs to know what this overflow parking
Right.
is intended for the senior center, and that has to be
so let's
relieved
not,
first.
let's not use this address, but let's use about that kind of flat square footage in your motion. And then we'll take an address out, if that was the case. A lot size about that big.
Put it on a virgin,
Just-
fictitious piece of land, which is
Exactly.
just as
Yep.
useful as putting it here, knowing that we don't have approval yet and we
Right.
will use it, but.
Right, do it on a couple pieces of
What was,
property.
just finish your motion, Ryan, how you want to say it.
So I want to make a motion here that's going to move us forward. So if the idea is just a chunk of fictitious property, and if we think that that is worthwhile, I would be happy to make that motion.
I think it is.
Do you think that is worthwhile?
I would like to see if we're going to do a, for instance, kind of thing,
Mhm.
okay? I would like to see a 2-story and a 3-story option on a blank piece of property not named, and a cost estimate associated with that.
So you want 1, 2, and 3?
No, 2,
2 and 3?
2 and 3.
So not a single?
Yeah, most likely, with what we have available for properties, a single-story building is not gonna work.
I agree. I think Brian Hume's already stated that it'd be a lot least expensive to go with a 1-story, and I believe a 1-story and a 2-story is very adequate for what we should, if you wanna go that way, I'm willing to concede with you on a single-story and a 2-story.
Well, if
I'm
we know the
against two.
site, and we don't know
No,
the
no, we
site, what
don't.
we're saying is, we don't know if it can be 2 or 3, so we give them
Give them
those options.
one story and a 2-story, 2 different renderings.
I
A
want to,
3, if we're thinking along the
No,
lines
let's
of the
not think
site.
that, because that's part of this part.
I really
I know.
We've got a gentleman out there.
Okay.
I don't
My
think,
name's Corey McDonald. I live at 194 High Street, literally right behind here. My question to you guys, if this parcel was already voted down no, what makes you think that parcel is a better viable option than that parcel over there, which is flatter, larger, and not butted up against any actual residential houses? So if you're gonna do a proposal, if you're gonna go out there and try to just come up with a number, why not do it on that parcel, which is probably a better site than the way that parcel is based off of issues going on with that site over there? If both sites are already voted no, what's the difference between doing there versus over there?
That's why I say.
I don't disagree, I just don't believe it should be cited on this property at all at the moment, based on what we've been told.
Don't
However,
forget, though, that Al Nadu, and I take Al, he's knowledgeable.
Oh, he's pretty
He
serious
basically
guy.
said that that vote was not legal.
Right.
Again, until someone proves something to me, and no one can prove anything to me.
Right,
So Tony, can I hear from you for 1 second for it?
I think,
It's right here in the
I think
minutes.
when we went to Brian, he proposed a 1 level. I don't think 1 level is gonna work with any of the sites. Public,
No, okay,
public.
okay.
So you're gonna have to ask him, basically, we have to procure a site, and you're gonna recommend sites to us, to the select board and to the people.
Who?
You are, I would think.
Oh.
You have 4 sites here.
If we don't get Alzheimer's.
Well, I thought we voted, we weren't talking about
Well,
such
I'm
anymore.
just, I'm just saying, you've listed 4 in your executive summary, we know what they are. All I'm saying is, and I don't know what the neighbors would think.
We just
However,
heard
as I said earlier, I hope they'd accept half the loaf, that this site is what I believe we voted on,
No,
specifically.
absolutely, and as somebody who lives right here, I can tell you, I actually do agree that we do have viable land right here
Yeah.
to use for this. I want to see a police department built for this.
Yeah, and I respect the vote at town meeting. It wasn't just a bunch of neighbors, it was a town meeting vote. So I'd ask this committee to, in support of Ryan, choose various sites, propose various sites with a 2 to 3 story building on the various sites.
Let Brian finish his motion so we can do another one.
Okay, now,
No, sorry.
hey, this is gonna be one and done.
Oh,
That's
all
it.
right. I'm
Kids,
behind
come
you.
on.
All right, so I would like to make a motion that we ask Mr. Humes to put out a rendering for a 2-story and a 1-story on a plot of land that is very much like that. I'm not sure what the size of that land is and that dimensions of that chunk of the parcel is, but for that size.
So,
But it's fictitious.
and we're
Not
not
actually,
giving him any limitations, this is just
Just
if we could
If
perfectly
I could
place
get a chunk
this.
of land that looks like that,
Okay.
what would it be for a 1-story, what would it be for a 2-story?
I second that motion.
However, when are you looking for? That's the big
So
caveat.
As soon as we
I
get it.
want, so I'm not gonna put restraints on him until when it gets done.
So
If
there's nothing
this
to do with the
if
report.
it comes 3 months after the report, it comes 3 months after.
Right.
That's fair. If it's not associated with the report, I'm fine, that's what I'm
Okay.
trying to get at, so.
Thank you.
I would second that.
I already did, so you're
Oh.
the third.
Dave,
Don, you
do
gotta
have
second everything.
any- Dave, do you have any questions? or concerns?
As long as it's a site that's not named.
Okay. I'm
It
happy with
it
that.
will not be. It will
Okay.
have no name, it will have no reference points, it will be floating out in the middle of Dalton.
You got it.
Community outreach.
Call the vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I didn't hear you, Dave. Did you say aye?
Aye.
Okay.
Right, we're moving forward now, thank you.
Okay, any other motions on the table before we go
I believe
on?
that it's meaningless.
Adjourn right now. Go buy a lottery ticket.
I put community outreach efforts on here, I just don't know at this point, as a committee, any further activities or
So,
actions?
so at this juncture, until we have an actual rendering or site, I don't know if it is, will get the necessary attention and/or effect to have an additional community outreach at this particular time.
So what do we say, we're suspending?
I would suspend it for the time being.
Do you want to make a motion to that effect?
Make a motion to put it on pause.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Next steps, we need another meeting to discuss the executive report and find out what Brian's timeline is to provide that
Could you call
information.
Brian in the morning?
I'm going to text him on the way home tonight and tell him.
I was gonna drive to his house about 1 o'clock and knock on his door.
There you go. If you know where he lives, it's probably in a
It's
good
Connecticut,
area.
it's not too far, it's only up the street.
It's in a really good area.
That's all right.
So next steps would be, do we want to, what do we need for some time to digest this report?
So can I just ask the steps here? So you have provided us a draft of some of the report here. Is this everything you've been submitted so far? Or are there additional parts looking at the outline that you had also provided here?
So
I
table
don't
of
see
content.
some of these, I don't see some of these pieces of content.
So that is really just the busy work, so assembling all of the violations, the documents, the reports are all basically items in these table of contents. So I've assembled everything we have to date in this format, and at some point, just trying not to waste paper, I would
No,
present
that's
some
okay.
binder like Don did at the beginning, and it's going to just follow this table of contents.
So as it's cited here, it references the
That,
exact titles.
well, that might be needing a
So I
little
can
massage there.
keep track of
Yeah,
what
you
is
can
what.
kind of correlate the two if you need to. I was trying to be more broad with the executive summary. It says drip billing to D or, so feel free to look at it. And do we want to meet in 2 weeks?
So we got Thanksgiving coming up. I'm gonna be unavailable, like the first, second week of November, so. I could try to do it over the telephone thing again. Can't guarantee nothing.
Well, what's 2 weeks from now? End of October, so we could do it Thanksgiving-ish time,
Halloween.
Halloween time and something like that.
You can wear
Come
a
with a
mask.
costume.
My mask.
What do we want to look at? Availability, I guess from the senior center standpoint would come first.
So are you thinking Wednesday, October 29th, is that what you're,
That's fine, unless that day doesn't work.
or Thursday?
I'm available on the 29th at 5:30. Does that seem to work for,
Yeah.
yeah?
It's fine.
Okay.
Stand by.
What I would encourage everyone to do then is to send any updates to Don and I, just in an email form, so we know what edits are being made and what suggestions, and then hopefully we come into the meeting in 2 weeks and we kind of have an agreement.
Hammer it out.
Would be helpful, yeah.
So October 29th, 5:30, sir?
5:30, is the senior center available?
Leaving a little room.
Yes, no, there's a 3 o'clock, but other than that.
So our next meeting is on the 29th at 5:30. David reminded me that I did not talk about the questions and answers, and partly because I owe answers to Becky, and I haven't given them to her yet, so.
So Becky, where do you
Table
have
it.
answers from?
So there are questions, they have been answered. we need to put it in some format that we can include in the report, and that's something that you and I can talk about.
So what I started to do is I took like question 1, and everybody who's giving me answers, I threw them underneath with their names, and then I did question, and I'll have you look
That's
at
probably the
it.
simplest way to do it, so I'll get yours back this week by tomorrow. Are we waiting on anyone
Am I
else?
in that list?
No.
You put me out,
I don't
CC me
I
out.
have to look, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll continue to talk about that, but the question and answers will be part of that document that we submit.
That's something we can.
Items we didn't talk about or need to talk about?
I have none.
No? Okay. We already set the meeting for the next meeting, so motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.